Tonight's true scary story has possession, witchcraft, violence. It has a lot of trigger warnings. There's suicidal ideation. So just please keep in mind of this before you watch, and ignore my wrinkly shirt. I did not have time to do anything today, including iron this shirt. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? So tonight's submitter's name is Maya, and we have heard from her before. She told one of the most terrifying stories I have ever told. I don't know if you guys remember it. It was the story of the family in the house. She was in the bathroom and she had that creature crawl backwards like this out of the bathroom, and she ended up with blood all over herself that wasn't hers. The family was just absolutely terrorized. Well, apparently this girl ended up moving to a different house and things did not really change that much. So a little backstory on why Maya thinks that all of this stuff happens to her. Her whole entire family is gifted, so they all hear things, see things, smell things, they dream about things. Or as her friends say, they talk to dead people. They're a very spiritual family, okay? So with that being said, let's jump into the story. So after living in the house that they lived in prior, that was absolutely hell, they moved to Lackawanna, New York. Now during this time, Maya's grandmother was still alive, and her grandmother always used to say that Lackawanna had a black cloud hanging over it. It was her favorite line about the place. So they moved into the projects. It was a 5-bedroom, 1-bath for $950 a month, and Section 8 was also involved. Now Maya was doing better in this house, but was she still mentally well? No, not really, but she was taking her medications. They all suffered from PTSD from the last house, so none of them were really mentally well. So her and her cousin's rooms were the ones that were closest to the bathroom, and the only uneasy feelings that she got were the feelings of being watched and her room being freezing cold. She had a walk-in closet, the ones that magnetically close. She absolutely hated this closet. She still hates closets to this day. Now the first few weeks were okay. They would hear walking a lot upstairs, but her mother would always say that it was just her deceased grandpa checking in on them. But Maya was paranoid from the last house. Now the first few weeks of being into the house, Maya is in the bathroom and she is brushing her teeth when she sees something in the mirror. She sees these long, slender hands gripped on top of the door as if somebody was pulling themselves up from the other side of the door. Now, this door was 6 to 7 feet off of the ground. This terrified her. She starts screaming. She runs downstairs to where her grandmother is, and she's stumbling over her words, trying to explain to her grandmother what she just saw, and her grandmother just starts praying over her, praying over the house, and asking God for protection for all of them and for the house. Now, Maya at this point was sleeping in her room. She had little Tinkerbell decorations all over her room. No mirrors in her room. She was terrified of mirrors. Well, after the incident in the bathroom, she is calmed down. Her grandmother calms her down. She's okay now, and she goes upstairs to sleep in her room. Well, she's laying in her bed when suddenly she hears her closet door starts opening by itself. At this point, again, she is like, no, this is not happening to me again. So she runs out of the room and she goes into her grandmother's room. Her grandmother was like her protector at the time. So she climbs into bed with her grandmother and she falls asleep with her grandmother, absolutely terrified, just thinking to herself, this cannot be happening again. Now, while Maya is safely sleeping in her grandmother's room, her sister is in her room. She's trying to sleep, when suddenly her sister hears the same noise of her closet door, except for she doesn't run out of the room. She is paralyzed in fear, and what she sees in the closet is terrifying. There's a little girl in the closet with just this demonic looking face. I asked her to describe it to me, and she just said she looked like a little demon girl. And as she's standing there, she's saying, "Come here, come here, come here." Well, this terrifies her sister, but her sister actually stays in the room and eventually is able to fall back asleep. Now, things stay quiet for a little bit, up until Maya is 12 years old. Now, it's 2015 at this point, and nothing is really happening right at this moment at their house, but Maya has a cousin. We're gonna call him TJ. TJ starts struggling out of nowhere, and he starts struggling severely. Her cousin finds a Ouija board, and apparently he had been keeping it under his bed with a knife and playing with the Ouija board by himself, and we all know how that goes. So he starts to struggle. Now he is 15, 16 years old at this time. Now this is the same cousin that lived in their previous house with them, so he had experienced a lot in the house prior and was not in a good mental state because of that, but playing with this Ouija board did not help at all. Suddenly, he stops sleeping. His eyes are bloodshot all of the time. He's having problems with his mother and his sister. He then starts talking about murdering people, saying that the world would be a better place without useless people. He starts talking about suicide. He starts harming Maya and her sister. He was secluding himself in his room constantly and just playing with this board. So they finally decide to get a medium involved. The medium comes, takes one look at him, and says he has an attachment. He has a severe attachment that is starting to possess him. We're at the point of possession at this point. He is fighting back. It's not him that you're talking to every day. He is fighting back, but he is growing weaker. So they start to go through his room. They find a butcher knife underneath his bed. They find a notebook with disturbing things in it, things that she still to this day doesn't know. And at this point, the medium said, listen, I know that you love him, but at this point, it's a battle for his soul. He needs to go away and get help. So he ended up going away, and he ended up getting the help that he needed. When he came back, he was closer to God, and he was himself again. So wherever they sent him, it worked. But the only problem is Maya and her family are now dealing with things in their home. So one night, Maya and her other cousin Henry are in her room, and he is about 10 turning 11 at the time. She is 12 years old at the time, and they are watching iCarly. She said she remembers this so vividly. Now Maya had a lot of dolls, and she had a bag that was filled with dolls that was hanging on her closet. She used duct tape in order to tie the bag shut, and it was hanging on her closet door. Now this bag weighed about 50 pounds, okay? So it weighed down the door a little bit. So they're watching the movie when suddenly they hear that noise, that awful noise, that creak. The closet door is opening by itself, and then suddenly it just whoo, opens as fast as it possibly could probably open, and they freak out. They run out of the room. She said she didn't even look what was inside of the closet. She jumped over her cousin and ran out of that room. So they're booking it down the stairs at this point, and she finally gets to where her grandmother is, and she just starts crying hysterically. And her grandmother is like, what is wrong? What is wrong? And she's like, there's something in the closet. There's something in the closet. And TJ is doing the same thing. They're both just absolutely beside themselves. Now, while all of this is going on, her mother had actually gone to the library with a psychic medium, because everybody in the house at this point was silently again experiencing things without really telling one another except for Maya. So while her mother is at the library and this is all occurring, her and the psychic medium are using a ghost box. They set the ghost box down, and the first thing that comes out of that ghost box is,
I'll have Maya.
Her mother immediately drops everything that she's doing, and she leaves that library and she runs home. Well, the psychic medium actually comes back with her because she wants to see what's going on in the house. She obviously has a sense that there's something wrong, so she goes back to the house with her mother. Now, it's important to note that this psychic medium was actually on a episode of Ghost Hunters, so she was a very credible psychic medium. So she walks into the house with her mother, and they don't tell her anything that happened. The psychic medium, as soon as she walks into the house, is drawn to the upstairs to Maya's room. So she goes into Maya's room and she looks directly at her closet and she says, you have an open portal in your closet. So she goes over to the closet, and what she finds is crazy. She finds the Ouija board that her cousin, who was going through possession, was playing with, but it's inside of Maya's closet. How it got there, she does not know. Well, they do what they need to do with the the Ouija board. And fast forward to a couple weeks later, and it's October. Now, if you know anything about October is when the veil is thinnest between the dead and the living. So one night in October, on a blue supermoon, I'm not sure exactly which moon that is, but it was on a blue supermoon, Maya is laying in bed and she is playing on her Wattpad, when suddenly she feels something sit down on the end of her bed, like the bed just indents. Now, at first she thinks that it's her dog because it's big. Then she looks over and she realizes that there's a man sitting there. There's a tall black man with an afro, illuminating light, sitting on her bed, right in front of her. This man is not alive, and she knows this, she feels it, and she sees it. So she's looking at him absolutely horrified when he looks back at her in shock and says, "You can see me? Wait, no, stop, listen, please, I need somebody to listen to me." So hesitantly, she sits there and she listens to him, and he starts to tell her his life story, but never his name. He looked to be in his late 20s, early 30s. He died in a boat accident and drowned. He was missing his left leg. Now, he had a wife and 2 young girls, and all he wanted from Maya is for her to tell them that he was okay, he was watching over them, and that he would see his little girl doing gymnastics, that he would watch her and he was there supporting her, and he was so proud of her, and he was so proud of his other daughter. He wanted her to tell his wife that there was nothing that they could do to find his body, but that he would be with them forever. Crazy enough, she was actually in the same class as his daughter that was the one that did gymnastics, so she was able to tell her everything, and she said that it was an experience that she'll never forget, and we will get into that in a little bit, because right now more things are happening to the family. Now, as religious as Maya's grandmother was, she was the one that taught them witchcraft. So she taught them witchcraft because it had been in their family for generations. So Maya's grandmother had a best friend, and we'll call her Glenda. Now, they had been best friends since grade school, and they were then in their 60s at that point. Now, Glenda had a son who we will call Max. Now, Glenda played with witchcraft in a different way than Maya and her grandmother and her family did. She played with the dark side of magic. Maya and her family were only taught good witchcraft by her grandmother, like healing and protection spells, but it was not the same for Glenda whatsoever. In fact, Glenda dove so deep into the evil side of witchcraft that she ended up sending something after her son, who ultimately took his own life. Now, the specifics of that were not known, so Maya doesn't know the specifics, but her grandmother said it was too horrendous to talk about. But what Glenda would do with Maya's grandmother was just as bad. After this happened, Maya's grandmother went to Glenda and said, "Listen, I cannot be a part of this anymore. This has gone way too far. We need to sever ties." And she said that all Glenda said was, "Okay, Eve." 3 days later, they're in their laundry room and someone finds a bag filled with dirt, hair, nails, and something else hiding in their laundry room. Now, Maya's grandmother ended up developing a sore underneath her nose 3 days after Glenda had left. And this sore was becoming worse, and she wasn't feeling right. She knew that something was wrong. She knew that Glenda had done something, but she didn't know what. This was causing her grandmother so much discomfort that she ended up going to doctors about it, and she went to doctor after doctor, and each doctor told her it was just a pimple, and she exclaimed over and over again, "This is not just a pimple, something is wrong with me." Nobody would listen to her. A year later, October 2016, she was diagnosed with cancer and given 2 years to live. She died a day before her 62nd birthday. April 14th, 2017, 10 days after Maya's birthday. Her health declined rapidly. She said it was very scary to watch. It was a very aggressive form of cancer. Glenda still partakes in evil, horrendous witchcraft and actually tried to reach out to Maya about a couple months ago. Maya had to block her on Facebook Messenger. One good thing that came out of this situation was that Maya was eventually able to talk to the little girl that man asked her to talk to, that was sitting at the end of her bed, his daughter, because she had second period in 7th grade with her. Maya knew who she was instantly. She's not sure how she knew, but she just had an inkling. Now, they didn't talk for the first couple days of being in class together, but they eventually started sitting in the cafeteria together, and they got closer, and they started talking more and sharing more things with one another, and Maya did eventually end up telling her what her father said. Maya did say at first that the girl looked like she wanted to slap her because apparently that girl was being bullied at school, and she thought that this was just a cruel joke. It obviously was not. But then Maya started describing him in detail. She described how long him and her mother were together, how he passed away, how he was proud of her for continuing to do gymnastics even after he passed away. The girl just broke down in tears and said, "You're either really cruel and playing a really messed up joke, or you're one of those girls who can see spirits." As soon as Maya started seeing her cry, she started to cry. They just kind of broke down in each other's arms, and she actually kept in contact with this girl until 2019. And she said that this was a life-changing experience for her. Maya said that her and her family are okay now. They live in a new house, and there is activity in that house, but it's nothing bad. There is a crawl space and a closet in her house, so she is kind of traumatized from her first house, but nothing scary has happened. She also has 2 new siblings, one named after her brother who had passed away in the car accident before he was born, and then another sister who is named after her grandmother. She's not sure why these things follow her or why she ends up in these spooky houses or situations, but I personally believe it is because her and her entire family are gifted. Now, what did you guys think about that story? Now, I want to say something about the story. Normally, I wouldn't tell a story like this because there wasn't a lot of detail about what went on, and it was kind of all over the place, but I felt like this story was important to tell because of how much she was impacted and how these things may be going on with other people. And sometimes when it comes to these stories, people don't like to divulge all of the nitty-gritty details because it brings up too much. So that's why this story didn't have a lot of details and descriptions of like the entities or a lot of details of the description of the possession. And it's just because she wasn't comfortable sharing all of that. Excuse me. So I wasn't going to force that down her throat. I wasn't going to make her share details with me that she wasn't comfortable sharing. But I believed that this was an important story to share. You just never know what kind of crazy things are going on with people because there's so much out there that we don't know, right? There's so much that we don't know. And there's so many things going on in the world right now happening to people, and they can't get help for it because most people don't believe in these types of things. And so I am trying to use my platform in order to give these people a voice so that they can share their experiences, so they feel believed, so they feel heard. And that is really important to me. So again, that is why I told this story, and I will continue to tell stories, and I will never force anyone to give details they don't want to, but I hope that you guys are okay with that. I'm sure you are. I don't even think I have to ask that question, but tell me what you guys think of this story. What part was the scariest part of the story? What do you think was happening here? Do you think it was witchcraft that killed her grandmother? And what do you think that her cousin was possessed because of the Ouija board? That is what I think. I definitely think he was possessed because of the Ouija board. And the things coming out of her closet, it sounds like maybe the entity from the previous home had followed them, but it just didn't get strong enough because of the protection that her grandmother was providing for the house, especially probably because of her past, or not her past with witchcraft, but because she knew so much about it. She knew how to protect the house, right? And they had already been through so much that the experience probably shed light on how they could protect themselves even further. But like always, drop all your thoughts, opinions, and comments below. And with that being said, I'm now going to do my favorite part, which is the shout outs. My first shout out is going to Caitlin Powers 3500. You left such a sweet comment underneath one of my videos. I appreciated that so much. Thank you so much. You made me smile. I literally just read it now. You are so sweet. I love you too. I love that you watch me while you are doing like doing cooking, while you are cooking, while you are cleaning. Like that just makes me so happy because I listen to spooky stories when I'm doing stuff too. So to be that for somebody else, I always say this, I know, but I mean it, is so important to me, and I just wouldn't have this channel without people like you. And so I appreciate you more than you know, girl. You mean a lot to me. All of you do. So thank you so much for your comment, your kindness, and your support. I love you. MBBBSB, you're so sweet. Thank you for your comment. I just read that one too. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for supporting my pages, or my page. Thank you so much for commenting. Thank you for watching my videos and being kind. That means so much to me. Again, I would not have this channel without people like you. So it truly means so much to me. Individually, every single one of you, I appreciate so much. So thank you for being a part of that. Thank you for helping my channel grow. Thank you for being active on my channel. You mean so much to me. I appreciate you so much, and I love you. And with that being said, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every single night that you guys submit to me. I tell shorts one night and long stories the next. So if you're into that, hit that subscribe button so that you can get notified the next time I tell a true scary story. And with that being said, I just need you every time, and I'm not editing it, okay? With that being said, I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories, have a safe night, and what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.